Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Another episode of Cantina Chatter podcast. We are here following up on the last episode in which we were talking about predictions for the Disney Plus series Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi and all of the things that we thought would come to pass in the actual series. The series just wrapped up last week. And I think we all have some thoughts and opinions we want to get into. So once again, I have Jurassic Dave here with me. Dave, how's it going?
Hey, Victoria, it's going good. How's everyone else doing?
Doing good, doing good. And we have Tom with us. Tom, how are you doing?
I am doing well, Victoria. I'm well. I have air conditioning again here in sweltering New York City, so that leaves me happy as a clam.
Nice. Yeah, I have mine running too. It's a warm day. It's a warm day. All right. So 6 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I know that last time we spoke, I said this was the series I was most excited for out of anything that they had announced in terms of Star Wars series. So let's talk about whether or not Kenobi lived up to our expectations and the hype. I mean, I know that's when it comes to Star Wars fans, it's kind of a tall order that you're almost never going to meet. But I think as long as it delivered for the most part, we're going to be pretty happy with it. I feel like it did, not a perfect series at all, but certainly one in which I found a lot of enjoyment and, I'm still thinking about, on a daily basis. So kind of what I want to start off with is just kind of get into our scores of on a scale of 0 to 10 for Obi-Wan Kenobi, just to kind of clear that out of the way and see what we feel. So Tom, I'll go ahead and start with you.
Boy, I hate to be weak sauce here, but I want to probably say if it was out of 4, I'd give it maybe a 2.5 to a 3. But out of 10, I want to say 7. I liked more than I didn't like. It reminds me of the Star Wars prequels in that despite me finding it kind of dumb, I really enjoyed watching it, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
we'll go into more of the specifics there. Though I imagine probably a lot of people are like, yeah. But I loved it. I really liked watching it. I'm looking forward to watching it again. But, 7 to 10.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't think that's out of line at all. That's right about, I'd put about 7.5 out of 10 for me. I really liked watching it, but it just came across overall as just another Star Wars series to me, just something else Star Wars on Disney Plus. And I think what most people had, including myself, just kind of build it up. It's just going to be epic. This is going to, ratchet it up to the next level as far as Star Wars television goes. And that, I think it kind of failed at it. It kind of, in some ways to me, almost took a step back from what Mandalorian Season 2 had set up. And it was epic, but I feel like the epicness to me came in at what the fans had already known about the characters. It didn't really show us anything like really epic. It just kind of relied on us to know that what we were seeing was already set up somewhere else as being epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. For me, I would give it an 8. There was certainly some stuff that we'll discuss in a bit that I found was a little perplexing or just a little nonsensical, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I really liked watching it, and I thought it was fun, and it was great to see some of these actors back. And we'll get into our lists of 5 things that we loved, and then 5 things we didn't love. And we're just going to touch on our lists by mentioning what these things are, and then we'll circle back and go a little bit deeper. But that way we also clear the air in that regarding things that we loved. Let's start off with the positives. So, Dave, 5 things you loved about Obi-Wan.
Let's see. I kind of just made a quick list here, and the first thing on my list, for better or for worse, I think was the feeling that the show gave us, just its tone, its aesthetic overall. I thought it did a really good job blending the way the prequels looked with original trilogy and prequel trilogy, even style, the way the lightsabers looked, the way it was shot. And like I said, for better or for worse, I liked that because some people might be a detriment to the series. But just the feeling and even the feeling of the characters, knowing that we went through the entire prequels with these same two actors, and I really thought it did a really good job of conveying these are the same characters that we went through the prequels with now in the next chapter that we have here.
Mm-hmm. All right. Tom.
I didn't write down a list because I've kind of got it in my head. Number one for me, I'm going to save the thing that I liked the most for the last one. So the other ones will just sort of be in random order. The number one thing for me was Ewan McGregor back in the role as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought he was absolutely spectacular. I mean, it's, I don't know how challenging the role is being, that character, but he was great. He's so much fun to watch. Seeing him with a little bit, defter scripts, better dialogue was just wonderful, wonderful fun. Everything about that I loved. It was everything I loved about him in the prequels, specifically 2 and 3, because I think 1 he was just sort of not very interesting in. But it was all that times 11. He's great. He was great.
That's your whole list?
I'm doing all of them. Oh, sorry. Oh, the entire list. Okay. Number 2, getting Joel Edgerton and Bonnie Peace back. Getting those two back, getting to actually do something with those characters, other than just showing up and being like, "Hello, my name is Owen, and this is my girlfriend, future dead wife." They were a lot of fun.
Yes, I'm your stepbrother.
Yeah, I guess I'm your stepbrother. Yeah. That's one of those things that I think we wanted from the prequels that we didn't really get anything from, and now we got that. I wish we'd had more of them in it, because I think Joel Edgerton is a fantastic actor. Bonnie Peace was a delight. The final episode with those two was dynamite. Loved everything about it. Number 3, I liked Reva an awful lot. I thought Reva was fun, and I liked the twist that her plan was just to kill Darth Vader, to get close to him to kill him. I liked that. I wasn't disappointed by her turn away from evil, because I like that in these sorts of stories, even though it's sort of like, is someone going to do that? We're kind of predicting it, because, it's Star Wars. Like, that's what they're doing, but, it's Star Wars. So I liked that. Number 4, the aesthetic choices, specifically in the second episode where we spent a lot of time on that prequel-looking planet, I liked a lot. Oh, and to add on to that, the character of Haji, I thought was an absolute hoot, and I loved him. And I was worried that he, as an actor, would just be wasted as like a brief cameo, and he showed up a few times, enough to be like, all right, cool, they're making good use of him. And now I think I'm to number 5, right?
I think that was 3. Or was it
3?
I'm not counting.
They're in your head, Tom. They're in your head.
Yeah, they're in my head. The thing that I like the most is little Leia. I thought that the girl that played her was absolutely fantastic. She was absolutely delightful, sparkling, snarky, precocious dialogue. So well performed, so cute, so funny. In the 4th episode, where she sort of gets relegated to fixing a thing in a tube while other stuff is going on, Darth Vader's there, great. It's like, no. Bring me back little Leia. She is so much fun. She's absolutely a highlight of the series for me, and I don't know how, but I would love to see more of her as that character. I'm looking forward to seeing whatever that actress does in the future as well, but what a knockout casting, scripting, and performance done by her and that character. Loved it.
Yeah. I totally agree. Dave, just to double check, did you get through your whole list too?
No, I didn't. I think Tom and I have some overlap, so I'll just say the ones that didn't overlap.
I get the feeling a lot of our stuff's going to be pretty similar in this, isn't it? Yeah.
So my second one was the Kenobi, seeing him go through his changes. I thought it was a little rushed, but I still appreciated where he started from and where we ended up. It kind of reminded me a lot of Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker. Um, yeah, just being shut off from the Force and unwilling to trust people. To at the end, he really had to make a leap and trust someone that he didn't know well enough to get Leia to safety. So yeah, the other one I have here is just Hayden as Vader. I'm not positive. I don't think it was him in the suit all the times, but I still felt like his mannerisms were captured. Even when I saw Darth Vader walking around, it looked like Anakin Skywalker from the prequels. And just along with that, the voice simulation, just the cadence and the way it spoke, it sounded just like original trilogy Vader mixed in with the way Hayden speaks. I just thought that was awesome, and it really brought the character more together for me. I could really see more cohesion in it.
Yeah, completely agree there. I'm not a fan of the re-speecher thing myself, which I know they use for it, but I forgot to mention the scene where Vader gets his face cut and you're doing the overlap between the two different voices, and Hayden's really bringing it there. That was delightfully creepy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So for my list, like you guys said, overlap. I loved Ewan being back. I loved Hayden being back, even if we didn't get to see as much of him as, I might have hoped for. Just knowing he was in the suit at least some of the time. And, consequently, having Obi-Wan and Vader back, together was really cool. I mean, we could have continued to go without these characters like facing off again on screen, but the fact that it happened is neat. I loved little Leia. I thought she was fantastic. For all the reasons you said, Tom, she was just very, charming and cute and engaging, and definitely what you would envision Leia being like as a kid. I really liked Reva a lot. I don't understand the flack that she's got. A lot of the flack she's gone online. Some of it I kind of get, but I just thought she was very like if it, she had like some raw Anakin energy, like from the prequels, like just very like brazen and strong-headed, and just kind of seeing her in action, just trying to get things done. Even before we knew her motives, her wanting to kill Vader. It felt really cool. She brought like a fresh energy to the show, and I did appreciate also that twist that that she was hunting Vader. I like the flashback with to pre-Attack of the Clones, I guess.
Oh yeah.
It was neat seeing that. The de-aging on Ewan was great. I don't think it was quite as great on Hayden, but sometimes it was fine. But it was still fun to have them back and just kind of, like who would have thought, like, 5 years ago, you would never expect we get to see that again, and to see it, it's like super, super cool. It hit me in the feels for sure.
No chance. 5 years ago, we're still angry about the prequels, right? Or are we angry about the new ones 5 years ago? 5 years ago, I think we're angry about the new ones, and everyone loves has always loved the prequels 5 years ago. 6 years ago.
Yeah, the whole time they loved them all along.
Yeah, the whole time.
And the fifth thing I have is the final confrontation. I just, seeing that, was neat. Like, they obviously, Vader and Obi-Wan had some brushes, throughout the series, and I'm sure we'll talk about the first encounter, but the final duel, it was, I really liked it. Particularly, the way it ended, the way things left off. It was I think it was really nice to see them take the approach that they did. So those are my things. Those are my 5 things that I loved about the show.
Those are all great things about the show. Everything else about the show stunk. I hated it. It made me angry. No.
Of course it did. Anything here we want to highlight or go into a little bit deeper off of anything that we've pinpointed here?
Boy, for me, the show was made by little Leia, and I remember I came into this with my arms crossed, saying I do not want another Star Wars babysitting series, because that's already The Mandalorian, that's already The Bad Batch. I don't want any more babysitting series. And I watched it, and I'm like, all right, we're going to do it. So can you make me like the baby this time? I was like, oh, yeah, no, I really, really like her. Her relationship with her parents was a lot of fun, getting the brief little taste of Alderaan. Again, another thing we should have spent more time on in the prequels, I think, was great. Watching her run through the forest and those clumsy bad guys just bonking their heads in trees and falling over was that was a choice that I laughed out loud at. Hopefully that was the intent and not just an accident, but yeah.
Cool. Dave?
I think you both said the ending, the ending fight, right? The last that was awesome. I feel like the last episode was so good. It bumped it up to as high of a rating that I gave it. Even though it kind of felt like they were retreading a little bit of Rebels, I still really appreciated it. I think, a lot more people saw this than they saw Rebels, so it's new to them.
Oh, yeah.
But just, they didn't hold anything back. They didn't care to try and match lightsaber duels from A New Hope or anything. They just let it all out there. And just the way it all came together at the end. And I loved the fan service, seeing Qui-Gon there at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Getting to see Alderaan and seeing a final goodbye between Obi-Wan and Leia. I just thought it was so good. It just, all the parts that I didn't like from it were kind of wiped away in that last episode. And just made me look at the whole series. It was almost like a road trip. And there were maybe some places you didn't want to go or some boring places you went along the way. But in the end, it was really worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think that's a pretty good summary of what the show was like. So question for you guys. During the final duel, was Obi-Wan overpowered? What do we think?
I'm going to be contrary. I've got some real issues with the final duel. That might lock into my 5 dislikes of the show, even though I did like it. Was he overpowered where he's grabbing all the rocks and throwing all the rocks? I don't. Maybe. Probably. I think probably. But wasn't Vader doing that too? Wasn't he cracking things and throwing? The fact that they do that this time and they didn't do that other times or in other stuff is kind of stands out. But also, when you're telling these stories in the way that we're actually watching them, you kind of do want to try and do something new. So, I'm okay with that. I had a lot more issue with the way it was shot and lit and the kind of the choreography of it just felt very... I was very excited to watch it because I loved seeing Obi-Wan and Vader go at a duel. And I love those two characters. And all my emotional baggage is there from childhood through the prequels to this. So I'm excited. I'm on board with it. But man, have you looked at some of those shots where it's just it's Obi-Wan, he's got all the rocks, and everything is just sort of this gray tone, right? There's no highlights of setting up lights to really capture stuff. It's all everything's gray, and Vader's walking through and he's just gray, and everything is gray, and it's all on that dumb holodeck thing that they the sound stage that projects LED stuff. Oh boy, man.
That's on my dislikes, that's for sure.
Holy gosh, guys. You I know you guys think that's neat. You got to get away from it. The actors might think they're in a real spot, but I'm watching it and I'm like, you are in a small sound stage, and the setup for your final duel this time, it's not as big. It doesn't need to be as over the top as Revenge of the Sith, because I think the second half of Revenge of the Sith's thing where they're running on the pylons and falling off those and jump, I think that's ridiculous. It's the silliest thing. It's I can't take it seriously. But this was they're standing on a flat plane and there's stalagmites, and they kind of walk between stalagmites that are just comped in. I'm on just a flat gray planet. I'm God, it's so visually dull. It so doesn't help with the drama of anything that's going on. The lighting is flat. Yeah. Ugh.
All
Sorry.
right, so
I really took a turn there. I didn't
No,
mean
it's
to, but it
I
really
feel
is
the same in some ways, and
Yeah.
in some ways disagree. But I see exactly what you're saying. Do we want to transition to some of the dislikes? I think
yeah,
a lot
let's
of
go ahead and
I
let's
think-
go ahead and do that. So yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good discussion because I think a lot of each of us have some things that we like and some that are on our dislikes and vice versa. But just to piggyback back off of what you were just talking about, Tom, my number one is basically, I think if I describe it correctly, the cinematography.
Yeah.
Just throughout the whole series, especially in the middle 2 episodes, I just felt like the camera was just showing me the back of the volume the whole time.
Yeah.
You could see the arch. Just the way they would shoot it, you could see that there weren't enough extras. There
Yeah.
wasn't even cardboard cutouts of Star Wars of stormtroopers standing there. Just seeing that there's 8 guys standing there
Yeah.
just looks so bad.
And no one's moving. Like there's all these really exciting things going on. Oh no, they're being shot at by a zillion, and everyone just kind of standing there, like.
Yeah, and then when they noticed
What?
it, it's like they kind of tried to do shaky cam, and I think what we talked about in our chat, it just sort of looked like Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah.
When they get hit and the camera shakes, and they did that like a lot with close-ups and would shake all around.
Yeah.
And it just felt cheap to me, which I thought this was the one title that they shouldn't have made feel cheap.
Yeah. It's the entire series felt you could see the budget, like I could see the budget being strained, and I'm reminded why The Mandalorian, which doesn't have to pay any main actors, is a 20-minute long show. It's just I absolutely don't understand why they didn't pull out all the stops for this show to really amp the budget up. I mean, you've got Ewan McGregor back. You've got Hayden Christensen back. You've got some great like guest actors who don't just show up to say, a line of dialogue and then be gone. Indira Varma's a spectacular actress, and they did a good job with her. I can't remember the fellow's name who plays Haji, but he's such a good actor. He's so much fun. And Moses Ingram is delightful, but so I know they're spending money on actors, but gosh, guys, give the director more time to get shots, to get lighting right, to really make some of this stuff dynamic. It felt like, yeah, I'm watching an old episode of Star Trek, not even a modern Star Trek, where there's lots of dynamic stuff going on. And, it's not the sort of thing that bothered me a lot when I'm watching it for the first time, because I'm so excited about the characters and the story being generally told that I'm forgiving of it. But on, rethinking it, I'm not like, oh, man, I want to watch that final duel again. Because it's it's just kind of a gray thing with, yeah, sorry. I
think it took me out of it, too, a lot of times where I want to be invested in, I want to be in it emotionally. And I could think back to on my dislikes here was almost all of chapter 4, and the effects in that, the end when the speeders come in, and it just looks like they look like they're scaled improperly. The way they move doesn't seem like they would move in the space on the staging that I'm seeing.
Was that in episode 3 where they're in Fortress Inquisitus?
Isn't that 4? Whichever one? Yeah, when they're on the Fortress Inquisitors, that's the one I'm talking about, and it just
3.
looked wrong, and they were just didn't look right. A lot of looking badness happening.
And they killed Wade. I can't believe they killed Wade off. Wade was dead. Wade should have been the one to ram the ship into the other ship. It broke lore that Wade was killed. Sorry.
I know, we're never going to recover from Wade dying.
Poor Wade.
Yeah, that name, Fortress Inquisitorius, it's just such I just can't wrap my head around it. It just sounds so silly.
I love it. It's incredibly silly. It's incredibly silly in a Star Warsy way that I get a kick out of. General Grievous. It's dumb. It's a dumb name, but I like it.
Yeah. Anything else on your list, Dave?
Well, the other one that overlaps with your guys' likes, and I'm sorry, I really enjoyed the acting of Reva, Moses Ingram. What you said is true. She brought a freshness, but I just thought the placement of the character was off to me. Almost like she was placed to be a main character, and that's not what I personally wanted from the series, so that's why I'm getting so angry about it. But I wanted to see more of Vader and Obi-Wan, And I felt like her story didn't feel like it needed to be there, because the only purpose she served, it was as a tool for Kenobi to manipulate her to get out of trouble for that one episode.
Yeah, it was a little bizarre.
Yeah, and then there was no drama at all in the last episode when they had to cut into like, you know, some of the best Star Wars that I think that we're getting into the Obi-Wan Vader fight, and you know nothing's going to happen. You know no one's going to die. You know they're not going to kill Luke Skywalker, and there was just no drama there. And I was just kind of like, why is this character here? And it almost sort of felt like filler when I felt like they could have filled in other ways around the end of the series. But again, the actress was great. The performance was great. She felt fresh and energetic. I just felt the placement was weird.
I felt
That's a good. Yeah, that's a good point, because you know, Tom was talking a little while ago about how exciting it was to see Owen and Beru like in action and taking care of Luke and stuff, and that's a really exciting thing to see on screen. But it just kind of felt weird how like the whole thing with Reva being there, being intercut with the Ben Vader duel was done. It just, to me, that was like, anytime they cut to like Reva and all that, I was like, no, go back to Vader and Obi-Wan. I want to see what's going on over there. Yeah. So it just seemed like a weird way for them to do it.
It's her character's arc in the end confused the bejeepers out of me. Like, I got it up through episode 4, and then she gets stabbed. And I know we don't kill people with stabs anymore. That's a thing, but like they didn't address it at all. She was just fine the next episode, and then she's gonna go kill Luke's. I don't understand what she wanted to. Like, she doesn't want to impress Darth Vader at this point.
She somehow thought she was going to get back at Anakin Vader by killing his son, but maybe didn't realize he didn't know. It was confusing.
Did she know that it was his son? I just thought she knew it was an important kid.
See, who knows? Like, she just heard that recording, and Bale doesn't say.
Yeah, it's another thing. It's another thing that Obi-Wan is after. Obi-Wan's protecting that kid on that planet. Oh, and he's chased across the galaxy to get this one. But at that point, why does she want to get Obi-Wan? Like,
if they could have somehow edited that character out of this show and re-edit into some sort of like future Darth Vader series, that I would find very interesting. If they were focusing on Vader and we see what's going on between Vader and Reva, like, I like it, but it just felt odd placed in this series to me. You know, and I could see that scene playing a lot better with Owen and Beru and Luke. Maybe that being something that happens, be like, oh, this is very interesting, and this is like a New Hope, you know, leading into. It just felt really weird, edited into that epic fight, and at the end of a series when there's no drama whatsoever, because you know nothing consequential is going to happen.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't particularly worried that kid Luke Skywalker is going to get killed off by. I liked the character Reva quite a bit because I felt you needed a bad guy. One of my major problems is you. If you have a story that's going to be about, you know, there's going to be a good guy fighting a bad guy with a sword at the end of it, you've got to question who's going to survive, right? And we know Darth Vader survives, and we know that Obi-Wan survives. So it's good to create another bad guy that you bring in, and I thought that was going to be her, but then her arc in the final episode perplexed me. And then the other major problem with this is you have the other Inquisitors who, man, are those characters dull. We knew that the Grand Inquisitor wasn't killed off because he shows up in the cartoon series later on. Okay. And then there's the one played by Han from the Fast and the Furious movies.
Who talked like Batman.
Yeah, who talked like Batman. There was no charm or charisma there. And then there's just another one, the Orange Girl. I guess there's an action figure of her coming out. I don't need that. They're just so incredibly dull. Like, the only interesting thing there was the vying for power, who was going to become the next Grand Inquisitor to get, you know, like, that was interesting. And then that felt like it was a storyline that was kind of dropped, right? Like, Reva, you're the Grand Inquisitor now, and all right, then we lose the other guys. They're just gone. Yeah, because they have to show up in the next series to get killed off by the cartoon characters.
By Maul.
Maul, right.
At least the guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I hate Inquisitors. I like Riva. I thought Riva was kind of fun, but man,
And we talked about this too last time. I remember, like I was never really on board with the idea of Inquisitors. I just
yeah.
thought like it was fine for 35 years or however long it was. That only Vader and the Emperor were the two bad Force users, and
Mm-hmm.
like
Yep.
I don't think Inquisitors were really necessary. I like them now
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more, honestly, thanks to the show, but it's still kind of a weird concept. It's not really necessary. It was only really created, I feel like, to give bad guys more of a go at rebels,
Yeah.
mistakes. But
Yeah. That was
they were
obvious.
stuck with them, and now they're here.
Right. Well, it's also the same as like there was only two Jedi, right? There's Obi-Wan and Yoda, and now there's Ahsoka because she can never die, and
Cal
Ezra,
Kestis.
and right, and it's just oh my goodness. I liked the fact that they mentioned Quinlan Voss because that's the thing that all of us nerds looking for some fan service can say, aha, I know who that character is, and I'm glad that that was it, right? Because a normal regular viewer just knows, oh, there's someone that Obi-Wan knows on the wall. Good for them. And that's it. That's good fan service for me. If Quinlan Voss had showed up and it's like, I will help you, Obi-Wan Kenobi, I would have punched myself in the face.
We don't
We
want
don't want
that.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no.
I'm certain there's people watching this that would love to see me punch myself in the face.
I will ignore them. Um, all right. Is that your whole list of negatives, Steve?
The
The
last
last
one
one
I
that I
had-
have, I got about 25 or no, no. My last one, I think, if again with the Riva, maybe I would have liked to see more between Vader and Obi-Wan, and I wanted to see more of Obi-Wan believing that there was still good in Anakin. Like maybe
Yeah.
that could have been the dynamic. Is once Kenobi realizes that Anakin survived, him reconnecting with the Force and using that as a way to try to bring Anakin back. And it really was just kind of like a good guy versus bad guy thing, you
Yep.
know, like. And they set it up in the beginning. I felt like they teased us with the showing Padme saying that there's still good in them, that she knows it. We all know of the line from Return of the Jedi that Vader says about Obi-Wan once thought as you did to Luke, and they didn't really ever touch that, So wish I would have got more of that.
That would have been an interesting instead it's as you say it's just well they go to a green screen planet, sorry, the volume planet, and they have a sword fight. I'm watching him have a sword.
Notorious.
Yeah, they have a cool sword fight. I like the sword fight, but it's just a sword fight. Yeah, there's no, as you said, there's no drama there. There's some drama there, but it was the same drama we got in Revenge of the Sith. What was different about this one? It's like the dialogue was almost the same. It's like, I failed you, Anakin. It's like, I'm sorry, Anakin. I thought it was directed better. I felt there was more emotion in these two actors as they're spewing this stuff out, which was great. But I don't feel like I got a new insight into either of these people.
Yeah, if we would have gotten more Hayden and seen maybe some self-doubt in him, like doubting the ways of the Sith, that would have made that at the end, the turn, him saying that he's the one that killed Anakin, like a lot more impactful.
Which was an awesome line.
Yeah.
That was so, like the moment he goes, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker," like because we think he's gonna be like, "I lived," right? And it's like, no, I did. It was like, oh, that's so cool. What a great piece of creepy dialogue there. Yeah. Sorry, Victoria. I feel like I'm yelling over you. I'm gonna zip it for a minute. I get animated about this, and I loved this show, guys. Remember, I loved this show.
Same.
Yeah, me too.
It reminds me of when I watched The Phantom Menace, and I was like, man, I loved watching The Phantom Menace, but here's 3 hours of me complaining about The Phantom Menace. And it took 20 years later, I'm like, I don't care about it. I love it anyway.
Yeah, I feel like what you're saying, Dave, like, Obi-Wan didn't really appeal to Anakin's, like, to tell him to let go, or, like, yeah, you're right. That was kind of not really addressed. I mean, Obi-Wan once thought as you do. I mean, I've always kind of thought, okay, the Revenge of the Sith, that's when he's like, Anakin, you're my brother, this and that.
Yeah.
But, like, I think there was an opportunity here to play into it a little bit more, and maybe him try to appeal to Vader, and maybe that was shot and taken out. I don't know, the pacing, who knows. Um, like I think that would have gone a little bit of ways. Because there were certain lines, like he said, like, my friend is truly dead. Obviously that ties to Return of the Jedi and, Luke's line. But I mean, they kind of just ignored, like Vader's comments later. They played Obi-Wan up to Obi-Wan's comments, Luke's comments, but not so much Vader's. And yeah, I think that could have been done a little bit better.
Yeah.
All right. Tom, your list.
Oh, we sort of hit on the cinematography thing and the fact that the limitations of the budget. Some other spots that it really stood out to me at the start of episode 6. Oh, right. There's 6 episodes, not 5. So I think you're right about which one was episode 4 earlier, Dave. I got confused because it was only 5 weeks of the show. At the start of, episode 6 is the only one where we see a gosh darn Star Destroyer. Why are they not showing us the Star Destroyer beforehand? I don't understand why they're not giving us establishing shots of a Star Destroyer flying overhead before cutting into Darth Vader. Like, it's such classic Star Wars stuff that we love. Do it. Instead, they finally do it, and the spaceship is running away from the Star Destroyer that's being shot at, and everyone on that ship is just sort of standing there like they're on a bus. Like, they're not even doing the Star Trek shakes. There's nothing. They're all standing on a bus being like, man, sure sucks being shot at by the evil Galactic Empire, huh? Yep. Beer? I was just watching that, and you go, again, it's all extras that are just people dressed in, like, brown burlap sacks.
And it's like,
oh my gosh, guys, this is so dull. It's painfully dull. And it's just like, Obi-Wan, like, no one, like, runs to another room just checking it. Just Obi-Wan just kind of walks over, like, hey, I guess I've got a scheme for us to get out of here. I'm going to get into another ship and fly away. And the guy's like, no, you can't do that. Okay, and there's no, like, exciting shot. It's just, like, they're just standing there reciting dialogue. And it's not even bad dialogue. It's pretty decent dialogue.
It is, yeah. That was weird.
I guarantee you. Sorry.
No, you're right. That was a little weird. I mean, the Grand Inquisitor was like, no, chase him. We can't let him go. And then the Vader's like, no, we're going to go. Obi-Wan's more important. Go get my ship. It's like, okay, well, why can't the Star Destroyer continue focusing on that? To me, that was just a little, like, of a disconnect. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why can't they do 2 things at once? I mean, obviously, it's plot armor, right? But it's like, why can't they? Like, there's nothing precluding them from doing both things at once.
When the plot armor becomes incredibly visible to the audience is when you have a problem. And this was this series full of plot armor stuff. Was it episode 3 where they first encounter Vader and Vader drags Obi-Wan into the fire? Was that episode 3?
I think so.
I thought that was so exciting. And then, oh no, the fire got lit back up, and the robot picks up Obi-Wan and slowly walks away with his slow-walking robot body. And, like, I don't expect Darth Vader to walk into the fire, because, he'll probably get burned. But he just stood there and let him go. And I was convinced, oh, well, Vader's like, aha, this is how we're going to find the secret hideout. And then the next episode, nope. It didn't. Reva's the only one doing any work in the Empire for these. Like, literally, she's the only competent character in the show.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's pretty confident. Little Leia's on top of things, and Reva's knows how to get stuff done. But yeah, Darth Vader's like, I don't know. Sorry. It just boggled my mind.
He should have walked through the flames. Imagine how badass that would have looked if he just like walked through really cool. And his cape's on fire and whatever, but he like walks through and he's like,
Yeah. He says something cool and Darth Vader-y.
It was perplexing, but I kind of feel like in hindsight, now that we've seen the finale, that maybe he was just conflicted about pursuing Obi-Wan for some reason. And if that is the case, it wasn't really made clear at that point.
Yeah.
Which it should have been. You know, if you want more of an emotional weight to that whole relationship. But that's the only way that I can really like reason it, is he was disappointed with how weak Obi-Wan had become. And, you know, he's still going through this like back and forth, you know, I love him, I hate him kind of thing. And, you know, that's why he let him go. But I don't know. That's just me speculating.
Oh. I've got another one I didn't like. You want this? This
We
is gonna
do.
bum you guys out. This is gonna bum me out. The music, the score. I couldn't hum a single bar from the entire thing, and I'm so tired of Star Wars series, and this goes all the way back to the gosh darn Clone Wars, not utilizing its leitmotifs. Like, use these things. These are characters in your story. The original Star Wars movie was made awesome because of the music. Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader became the awesome, intimidating thing because his cool theme music. Use these things. Stop being like so precious about it. Like, oh, we can only use it in the last 10 seconds. Why? Every time Darth Vader shows up, let's hear it. And I don't want to hear anyone telling me that it wasn't in A New Hope. I know it wasn't in A New Hope. They hadn't written it yet. It was used in Rebels. It was used briefly in Rogue One. Like, make use of your character themes. I thought the Obi-Wan theme itself was nice, but nothing else about any of the music stood out. And especially in the big climactic duel, I didn't need to hear Duel of the Fates again, though it would have been nice. I didn't need to hear Battle of Heroes again, though it would have been nice. But I don't know. I don't remember a single thing about the music from it. It's just sort of like,
No, you're right.
Man.
The best part of every show was the end credits, where you heard the actual, I think it was the John Williams recording of the song.
Yeah.
And it was obviously different in every, but it doesn't have to be complex. It could be the most simplest thing in the world. The most recent thing that comes to mind for me is the Batman. There was like 3 songs in that whole movie. The movie's like 30-something hours long, and it was amazing. Every time a character showed up, here's Catwoman.
Their one music.
Yeah.
Yeah, use these things. Like, that's the thing that drives me nuts about those incredibly mediocre Marvel movies. They almost have no leitmotifs. They have like 400 movies at this point. They have that one for the Avengers, bam, 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 and that's it. I don't know. Makes me crazy, guys. Star Wars music. Yeah.
You're not crazy. That was something I had on my list too, is that the music, you know, the soundtrack of like Star Wars movies has always been so part of Star Wars movies. You know, like the music has always been part of the adventure, part of what we enjoy about Star Wars. If you look at Duel of the Fates and you just watch it on silent without the music, it's like it's just okay. But then when you bring in that score and you see them like fighting to it, like it really like amps up the ante on that whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a character. It's a major character in Star Wars, the music.
It is. And there wasn't like Mando has its music, right? And I like I like what they do in Mandalorian, and the Obi-Wan theme is nice. It's maybe not as memorable as some of the other things, but it's nice.
None of them are quite as good as Fat boba 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 fat boba 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 boba.
But yeah, no, they one thing I read, and I forget, I can't attribute this to anybody because I can't remember where I read it, but I did read it somewhere, was that maybe it was an interview with the person that did the music or something, but that they didn't want to rely on things that we hadn't seen like canonically yet. But I mean, they use a lot of these things in the prequels, you know, like the Imperial March is in the prequels. So I mean, it's they really should have relied on stuff from, you know, whether it was like Across the Stars or like you were saying Battle of the Heroes, Tom. Like I was just waiting in that final duel to hear like a cue from Battle of the Heroes in there, and it never came. And I was like, okay, well that's fine, but there wasn't anything to you know, substitute it with. It was just I don't remember any of the music from that duel.
Just action music.
Yeah, it was just like generic, like TV music. Like it wasn't anything that sounded Star Warsy. It wasn't anything that really was impactful or memorable. And I think that's kind of a crime when you're talking about Star Wars. You know, whatever the music is, like you're saying, a character. It is part of that experience, and there just wasn't anything here.
The original Star Wars without John Williams' score is a mediocre sci-fi movie with some neat special effects. Groundbreaking special effects, but is a mediocre, kind of dopey movie. It's the score that elevates it into one of the greatest movies of all time. And yeah, the fact that it frustrated me.
They could have gone to any of the John Williams scores and just clipped things out and pasted it in, and it would have been better than what we got.
And I wish they just the composer hadn't done that even, but just like rearranged pieces of it. You know, did the new music, but get the Imperial March in there for stuff. Get the Rebel fanfare in for stuff. I know we got to hear Leia's theme a little bit, but more. Heck, bring in the Rogue One Empire theme music. That was a great one. I know now, like, when we get Andor, there's no chance that we're gonna get any of those Rogue One musical leitmotifs in it. It's gonna be it's all new music. No, but I'm at this point, like, again, this frustrated me. The Clone Wars, Grievous has a theme music. The Separatists or the Trade Federation have a theme music. They never used any of those things. It was just always like you get the Force theme once per episode, and once per season you get a snippet of the Imperial March for Anakin doing something. They never used the Across the Stars music in the Clone Wars. Like, and Anakin and Padme actually spend time together in the darn thing. It just, like, that drove me nuts in Clone Wars. Still drives me nuts now.
Yeah, no, I don't get it. Yeah, I don't know. And I think that goes to one of the things you were both talking about, and there's one thing that's on my list as well, is like the budget just seemed very like low. And it did feel overall like a TV series, almost bordering on like fan filmy at certain points.
Yep.
And that's not, if any show, that you just throw money at, it should have been this one, because this is like actually like ties into like the actual saga, like much more than Mandalorian, much more than Book of Boba Fett, much more than Andor. This is like the series that should have gone all the bells and whistles, the music, the high stakes, and it just didn't really have that. There were stakes for Obi-Wan and for Vader, but beyond that, there weren't really any stakes. I mean, I didn't really feel for that little group of like proto rebels that were trying to escape from Vader. Like, it was just like, okay, I don't know any of these people. Like, there's just a bunch, like you were saying, Tom, burlap sacks and like a couple of Trandoshans. It's like, all right, who are they?
I didn't even feel bad when Wade got killed.
No, you're right, Victoria. And like, I think again that goes to the cinematography. I just feel like there weren't close shots when there was a really good acting performance going on. I'm thinking of what was the guy who was the rebel leader that was getting everyone out on the ship. He did like some amazing performances, and I feel like they were always shot like far away, so you can almost like see his knees instead of like a close up, and just like he's giving a great performance, and it just wasn't shot right.
Yeah, that's true.
There were great, like the series is full of really great performances. Like, everyone is doing like really, really, really top notch work. But yeah, and I absolutely don't believe for a second it's that Deborah Chow isn't capable of doing it. I'm 100% convinced it's on a tightened TV timeline and budget. And they're like, well, we've got to get it done. And it's like, do you? Do you take a little bit more? Or yeah, it all just felt very, very... In the way that I complain about The Mandalorian, I think that the scripts in that are pretty weak and first draft-ish. I no longer think that's that Jon Favreau can't write good stuff. I think he's the only writer, and he's tasked with churning all this stuff out as fast as possible. And I feel that from watching this series, how it was like directed and how all the setups were. Except for maybe in the first episode. The first episode I think was as close to a perfect Star Wars thing for me. Everything about the first episode worked so well for me. Everything about the first one.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I feel like this is one of those series they had the most time to like actually work on, and obviously it was delayed. There were rewrites and stuff. And I was reading an interview with from the direct.com, and this is what Stuart Beatty, who was he was the original writer on Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he says that it was planned as a trilogy originally. Like this was going to be this first season was going to be the first film, and they were going to have another film, then another film. So yeah, it's just kind of curiosity. Like, you give the show 6 hours, and maybe that actually hurt it turning it into a series, because now you got to milk it out, and that's why you have all these scenes of Leia running around and nobody can catch her.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 episodes where it ends with Leia being captured by bad guys, and the following episode is Obi-Wan getting her back. That happens twice. It's like, yeah, it's obvious this was stretched out, and it didn't need to be. And at one point, one tight movie. One tight movie.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think it could have possibly worked better as a film, like one 3-hour film, maybe just like a, and then with the score and with everything like properly done.
Yeah, no question.
That was my biggest problem, was those middle 2 episodes. And I think if they had done 4 episodes and just made them like 45 minutes each or something, that might have fixed a lot of it.
Yeah, the budget constraints are just it's interesting that's how we all feel, and from looking online, other people see. There's people like, I hate Reva because, whatever. But other people, it's just like, it just feels like I'm watching. I mean, I'm watching a TV show, but it feels like I'm watching a TV show.
Right.
If I watch Breaking Bad is a TV show. It feels pretty cinematic. Game of Thrones, despite its terrible final season, felt pretty cinematic. This feels like I'm watching a TV show. Like, you could have told me this was airing on ABC. ABC Sunday nights. Obi-Wan Kenobi. What adventures does he get up to this week? And it's like, I would be like, yeah, all right. And 30 years ago, that would have been the best thing I'd ever seen. It's 2022 now.
No, it's a shame that we have all these services, and we can watch Stranger Things is going on the same time right now. And that's just insanely good. It looks good. Yeah. Even I'm going back and watching it. Even season 1 of Stranger Things has better effects and they shoot around the bad CG or whatever better than this show did back in, what was that, 2016 now? And even on the same app, I believe the Marvel shows, I watch all them, and they're better. I feel like they're longer. They develop some of the characters better. Even like Loki, when they do shoot on the volume and you can see that it's a stage, it looks better than what we got here. Because in Loki, there was plenty of times where they were on another planet or something, and you could tell that it was a green screen or something, but it just looked better.
I think it bugged me in Loki there too, but I don't care enough about Loki to have had that bother me. Whereas when I'm watching Star Wars, I don't want to be watching something and be like, oh man, I can see the budget constraints there. Like,
I don't know. Maybe in my head, I feel like Star Wars is like top notch, and they shouldn't have anything holding them back. And I don't know if is that not how they feel anymore? Is Marvel the number one? And obviously,
oh, for sure,
Netflix is putting a lot of money into Stranger Things. That's their number one.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they're not, I feel like they're wasting their opportunity here, because it could be rivaling all the...
Entirely. And it's absolutely, they're absolutely not putting all into it. I don't know why, because Solo underperformed. Guys, it was one movie. Like,
that was a Disney thing. I mean, even this article I was talking about, it mentions that, that's why they pulled the plug on this being a trilogy, was because of Solo. And that was too gut reactionary, I feel like.
Really reactionary.
I mean, it's like you said, it's one movie, and, it's a movie that nobody asked for necessarily. It ended up being great, I think, but it's not a movie anyone asked for. Everybody was asking for Kenobi, and it's
nobody wants to see Harrison Ford be recast. Everyone was angry about that. And then you get the 2 guys that make the Spider-Man. But before that, they'd done some other funny stuff. You get them on board. Then you tell, 6 months before it's going to be released, you're reshooting the whole thing. So it's a movie that no one's excited about anyway, featuring a casting decision that no one's happy about, plus a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff. And no one went to see it. You're surprised? Also, we just had a Star Wars movie a couple months earlier. Like, this was when Bob Iger was convinced that they were going to churn out multiple Star Wars movies every year like Marvel. It's like, you can't do that. Marvel, you can keep retelling the exact same story over and over again because there's a new character this time, and, you know.
And it came out like 2 weeks after Infinity War.
That's right. Oh, my God, I forgot that. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, whereas everyone wants to see Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Everyone. That's why, like, most people, I like this series. I think everything I've seen is pretty similar complaints. But it's like, yeah, but Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan Kenobi. You can't go wrong there, despite all of these things.
That is for sure. Yeah. So I mean, lots of lots of great stuff. Lots of not great stuff. I mean, I still agree it was a fun series. It was enjoyable. We didn't mention the Emperor. The Emperor was kind of cool to see again.
Can I about the Emperor
Go for it.
Real quick.
I have to, because this is the first time the Emperor's makeup looked like it did in Return of the Jedi. The Revenge of the Sith one always looks like weird. And I wonder if they took the shot from Return of the Jedi where he's standing up on the platform and he's just thrown his lightsaber away and he's like, I'm a Jedi like my father before me. And the Emperor's standing there and goes, so be it, Jedi. And I wonder if they just put Ian McDiarmid's face on there. Because, like, it looks, I'd have to compare the shots, but it looks like they got all the stuff perfect this time.
I can see that.
I'm fine with that if they did. But,
I feel like he looked more closer to the Rise of Skywalker, like, more like just a really old man, like kind of what Return of the Jedi I think originally intended. But the voice was definitely different. I feel like the voice was more like Chancellor Palpatine than Emperor a little bit.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I agree there.
Still great that he was there. And, Qui-Gon, of course,
the Qui-Gon thing was amazing.
I was always here. You just weren't ready to see.
Great piece of Jedi dialogue there, and I loved it because like they'd set the entire series up that we know we're gonna get Qui-Gon, and thank God Qui-Gon didn't come in to save the day when he's fighting. I was really worried Obi-Wan's gonna be fighting Vader, and then Vader's gonna be beating him, and then Qui-Gon's gonna show up and save the day. It's like, oh, come on, guys, and they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Also, they didn't turn Hello There into a joke, but they did give it to us at a lovely, lovely, charming moment. That made me like tear up. I was like, oh my God, they did it.
Same.
But it's just a nice thing rather than, ha wink, we get you, audience. It's a funny little gag, see? Yeah. I think Frick was my favorite character. Because I feel like Frick, That's a weird story.
You should check these guys out.
I thought he was great. Yeah.
And they didn't kill him either, right? They
didn't kill him.
He hit him on the head.
Yeah. Oh, we just got lost and we were going to see my mom's grave and then we got lost out here in the middle of nowhere. Huh. That seems like a weird story.
Yeah, he was Frick knows how to get things done. He's right up there with Reva and Ben and yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, guys, this has been fun. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a season 2. Maybe we'll find out soon. Yeah, I'd watch it too. But thanks for coming on as always, and definitely fun to compare our what the series was like to what we originally suspected it could possibly or not be. Dave, where can our listeners and watchers go to look you up on the interwebs?
Find me pretty much anywhere, Jurassic Dave 93, Twitter, Instagram, to chat about anything. Pretty much, things that we've been talking about, Marvel and Star Wars and Jurassic Park.
Awesome. Tom?
You can find me on Twitter at WoozlinDemon. That's WOOZLIN Demon. Woozlin Demon.
Awesome.
I'm really boring.
You're not. That's not one word I would ever attribute to you, Tom. Is boring, ever. Well, thanks, you guys. So we'll have links to all these awesome places in these show notes. Definitely check them out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Cheers, all.
All right, later.
Thank you for listening to the Cantina Chatter podcast. Huge thanks to my guests on this episode. You can also find me on the Vintage Collection podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. Please consider leaving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Follow Victoria's Cantina, where it all started on YouTube, celebrating 9 years this year, where we talk about Star Wars toys, including news, analysis, reviews, and interviews. There's also the weekly live stream Cantina Social Hour every Friday night. You can follow me on Twitter at VixCantina, on Instagram at Victoria's Cantina, and on Facebook and TikTok. Extra special thanks to our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for helping us to do what we do. Collect them all, and no matter where you're tuning in from out in the galaxy, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Cantina Chatter podcast.